up, man? Okay, I got it.
I'm planning on going back to UFC.
You do?
If they'll have me, I would like to go back and fucking whoop someone's ass there.
Well, who would you want to, if it was offered? Justin Gaethje, it sounds like.
I'm not fighting at 55 though, but right now I'm not fighting in there because there's nobody to fight really. It's kind of slow rolling.
I feel like UFC would.
I don't really have a name in mind right now in the UFC. That's why I'm not there right now. Otherwise,
but the name, the draw, the excitement that you'd bring to it, I feel like it's really lacking in UFC. Everybody's
that's
rushing, everybody's
I would
wrestling.
be there if there was somebody that I wanted to go fight. But
I want to see the rubber match with Conor McGregor.
With time for sure. Yeah, whenever he's back. Me and him for sure got unfinished.
If there's another fight that would sell and that would be huge, it would be that. It would be Diaz 3.
Oh yeah.
That could be, especially if Diaz gets past Poirier.
Yes.
Even if he doesn't. I mean, just that fight alone. I mean, there's the history between those two guys. Mm-hmm. I mean, that would be,
and it's so appealing stylistically as well. The fight, you know,
yeah.
Like I'm a grappler at heart. I love grappling, but I also understand that a jiu-jitsu tournament will put people to sleep. You know, even if you're into jiu-jitsu, it's hard to watch a jiu-jitsu tournament.
Yes,
but anybody can see a punch hitting someone in the head and them falling down. That's that's exciting. And him and Diaz is such a great personality matchup. It's such a great skill clash. You know, if I was to design somebody that's going to bring the best out of Conor, you'd want someone that, you know, can hit back and take a big shot and put up at the trash. It's a beautiful fight. I would love to see that rematch.
Yeah, the thing about Diaz when they first fought was that he didn't give a fuck about trash talk. It didn't bother him at all.
Everyone heard Nate Diaz kick down the door and point directly at Conor McGregor when the White House card went public. This wasn't about legacy tours or championship belts. Just raw, unfinished business that never went away. When bad blood meets massive attention, chaos follows, and their buried rivalry suddenly felt alive again, serving as a harsh reminder of what happens when two fighters refuse to let old wounds heal.
Story that Conor McGregor is being talked to headline the White House card. I don't buy it. I can't buy it. Why are we would be turning to Conor McGregor? And the answer is also out there, because he is the sport's biggest star. That is true. So is that what you need? If you've got the open checkbook and you've got the magic wand, without saying names, do you say, I'm going to put as my main event the sport's biggest star? Is that your answer? Doesn't matter who he's fighting. What if it's a championship match? You have an open checkbook and you have a magic wand and you don't use any names, but you're going to put the championship on. Would you say heavyweight? Would you say women's 135? Would you say wherever Kazmat Chimaev's at? Like, how is it that you would answer that question? And then what if you're really going to go for a big fight? What if you really follow this for a long time? You're going to do what we used to call a super fight, but now we call it title versus title. You're going to take the champion of a weight.
Nate Diaz cut straight through the noise and made his position crystal clear. When someone mentioned the White House card, only one name grabbed his attention completely: Conor McGregor. No elaborate sales pitch or fancy marketing talk, just the brutal reality that nothing else matters if it's not McGregor standing across from him. Diaz wants in, the fans are screaming for it, and that third chapter keeps hovering in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment instead of everyone's permission, though we all understand exactly why.
Last thing, White House card, like he said, you want Conor McGregor?
Yeah, but the whole thing's on WWE, so
right.
It's like, at least that's happening and getting something to talk about, something to watch, and I'm looking forward to that fight actually.
Now fans want it.
Devontae and Paul should be good, and then because what else are you looking forward to? Hurry up.
Nothing.
Hurry up. What else?
If it's not you, McGregor, Ryan, it's nobody.
So it's good. It's good.
Now fans want you versus McGregor 3. Do you want that fight?
Yeah, for sure.
White House?
Yeah, what time?
Dana White poured ice water all over the trilogy conversation without slamming the door completely shut. White pointed to time as the real game changer, emphasizing how 12 months in this business can flip everything upside down, particularly with McGregor teasing his return and Diaz showing genuine enthusiasm. Making any promises right now feels pointless because fighters, champions, and company priorities shift constantly, and when next Independence Day rolls around, the entire landscape might look totally unrecognizable. The concept isn't buried 6 feet under, it's just not ready for contracts and signatures yet.
Conor McGregor said he's back in the pool. Nate Diaz said he would love to be the opponent. Are you interested in that trilogy?
That fight's a year away. Landscape will change so much by next 4th of July. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows who's going to be on the card? What the main event will be, or who will hold all the titles? Everything could be completely different, so it's not even worth thinking about it right now.
Michael Bisping took the opposite approach from Dana White's cautious position and zoomed out to see the massive picture. Should Nate Diaz find his way back and Conor McGregor actually return for real, he sees zero doubt that's the fight to book every single time. Their feud already sits among the most legendary in UFC history, and dropping it on a White House card would instantly establish the tone for the whole event, particularly when paired with other blockbuster battles at the summit. Bisping's reasoning runs deeper than simple promotion though. McGregor doesn't need another paycheck, but the fighting spirit never abandons you, and that magnetic pull for one final moment, one last victory, makes his participation in such a historic card feel almost destined.
If Nate Diaz was to come back, but if he was, and if Conor McGregor does actually make it back, I think that's the fight to make all day long. The one-on-one, there were some of the biggest fights in UFC history. Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor at the White House would be absolutely insane. It probably will have Tom Aspinall versus John Jones in the main event. It probably will have Conor McGregor versus someone, Michael Chandler or Nate Diaz, in the co-main event. So that just kind of sets the tone for how big that card would be. What do you think? Do you think Conor McGregor will actually make it back? Of course, he hasn't fought since 2021, right? It's going to be 5 years since he last fought. I, for one, fair play to the guy. Fair play, man. Respect. He doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need to come back. He's got lots of other avenues and ways to make money, but fighting is something that never leaves you, okay? It's a part of who you are. It's in your DNA. It's part of your soul. And he wants to come back and he wants to get his hands raised in victory. Of course, he wants to come back and be a part of that.
Bisping then expanded his vision even wider, jumping from personal rivalry to pure entertainment gold. When the discussion turns to super fights that could shake the sport's foundation, he highlighted Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira as the one that towers above everything else. Pereira's meteoric ascent, his magnetic presence, and his incredible achievements across multiple weight classes make the possibility feel almost mythical. Should he defeat Jones, Bisping insisted it would cement a legacy that no other fighter has ever approached. He stayed realistic though, acknowledging that McGregor versus Chandler remains the expected path, but once politics, influence, and personal connections enter the equation, even the most solid plans can suddenly change direction.
Fair, if we're talking about super fights, if we're talking about something that's really going to get the MMA world excited, then it would be Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira, right? Alex Pereira is one of the biggest stars. He came back in style and destroyed Magomed Ankalaev. The man's phenomenal. He's unbelievable. He's a 2-weight division champion. What he's achieved in this sport is ridiculous. If he was to face Jon Jones and if he was to beat him, then I guess he would go on and fight for the 3rd belt, and that'd be it. That'd be set in stone. Alex Pereira would, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, be the greatest mixed martial artist to ever compete. Simple as that. There's no one that's fought for 3 belts or won 3 belts. Just the thought of that alone is crazy. I mean, it took me about, 26 fights in the UFC to even get 1 title shot. So they're not easy to come by. Anyway, so there's that. Now they're talking about Conor McGregor fighting Michael Chandler. That's going to be the fight that happens. We all know about that. There's nothing new there. And the thing is, if Donald Trump wants it, if the President of the United States wants it, and as Eric says in that video, him and Dana are...
MMA Guru pulled the conversation back to timing and circumstances, keeping everything rooted in what fans actually want to see. He explained the fight to anticipate next depends entirely on Nate Diaz actually coming back and making noise with a significant victory in the welterweight division. Only after that does the trilogy with McGregor become truly magnetic for the White House event. Currently, hardcore supporters appear divided between Masvidal or Glover Teixeira options. But many insiders, including Ariel Helwani and others, are quietly favoring Diaz versus McGregor as the next major attraction.
Because that's not the fight I want to see next, okay? If Nate Diaz comes back and gets a big win, over someone in the welterweight division, okay? And he does it impressively, and then the McGregor fight happens. That's when I'm interested. But right now, I feel like the hardcore fans are kind of in mutual agreement that it's Masvidal or Gaethje. To us, it's kind of Masvidal or Gaethje, and for Chael Sonnen and Ariel Helwani to both say that they think Nate Diaz Trilogy should be next is strange to me. Very strange to me, because I would love to see either Gaethje or Masvidal. I feel like everyone's in agreement here. We've seen that Donald Cerrone has been beaten by Conor McGregor in his return at UFC 2.
Chael Sonnen sliced through all the excitement surrounding McGregor headlining the White House card with healthy doses of doubt. He acknowledged that while McGregor remains the sport's biggest attraction, without question, that status doesn't automatically qualify him as the perfect main event selection. Sonnen examined the process of constructing a card with unlimited funding, asking whether you'd choose a championship bout, a heavyweight clash, women's bantamweight action, or a super fight between title holders. His message rang clear: star power counts for plenty. But the real question becomes whether it produces the type of matchup that genuinely captures global attention.
Story that Conor McGregor is being talked to headline the White House card. I don't buy it. I can't buy it. Why are we be turning to Conor McGregor? And the answer is also out there, because he is the sport's biggest star. That is true. So is that what you need? If you've got the open checkbook and you've got the magic wand, without saying names, do you say, I'm going to put as my main event the sport's biggest star? Is that your answer? Doesn't matter who he's fighting. What if it's a championship match? If you have an open checkbook and you have a magic wand and you don't use any names, but you're going to put the championship on, would you say heavyweight? Would you say women's 135? Would you say wherever Khamzat Chimaev's at? Like, how is it that you would answer that question? And then what if you're really going to go for a big fight? What if you really follow this for a long time? You're going to do what we used to call a super fight, but now we call it title versus title.
Sonnen continued explaining why the McGregor discussion feels even more questionable when examined closely. Booking him for mid-2025 on a card scheduled for mid-2026 at a facility that doesn't exist yet with tickets unavailable for purchase starts stretching believability to its limits. The core issue he highlighted is that if Conor isn't holding a championship or even competing for title contention, then featuring him as the headliner means the card's most recognizable star won't be fighting for gold. Essentially, a non-title McGregor anchoring such a historic event makes the bigger-than-life marketing message much harder to justify, even with two other championships at stake.
And it's one of the reasons that I'm struggling with the idea that McGregor is being penciled in the middle of 2025 for a card that sits dead center in the middle of 2026 at a venue yet to be built, for tickets that are yet to be on sale. I struggle with it because we're openly saying if we're going to put Conor on there that there's no title. Unless you believe that Conor McGregor is going to demote himself, right? The biggest draw should be the main event. Your biggest star, regardless of belt, should be the main event. But in this case, if our biggest draw and our biggest star is not a champion or a contender in any weight class, we're going to acknowledge up front that our biggest show will not contain a title, which makes it a little difficult down the road to go, this show's bigger than big. In fact, we got 2 titles up. Yes, you heard me, there's 2 titles. When can you ever get that? And nothing more important than a title fight.
Ben Askren delivered a shocking perspective on Nate Diaz's entire career trajectory that nobody saw coming. He claimed that Diaz, despite his popularity and fan devotion, was essentially an average fighter who somehow convinced everyone he belonged among the elite. Pointing to his mediocre record both inside and outside the UFC, Askren portrayed Diaz's reputation as mostly smoke and mirrors rather than legitimate achievement, while warning that speaking this controversial truth publicly might unleash a devastating social media storm. Whether you love him or despise him, Askren's opinion is absolutely guaranteed to ignite fierce arguments throughout the entire MMA community.
No, listen, Nate Diaz, he is the most puzzling. He's not. I don't even think he's that good. I'll go get his record if you want me to. But he has convinced people he is good at fighting somehow, some way.
He's pretty good.
I'm gonna go get his damn record, Daniel. It's not.
But he won the Ultimate Fighter. He won the Ultimate Fighter. I'm saying he was good for the time that he was fighting.
No, he wasn't. He was average.
He was, yeah, okay. I'm just
okay.
trying.
I'm gonna go get the record. I'm gonna go with the record. They're gonna yell at me. I know this. Okay, let's see. Well, his record is 21-13.
Oh my God, really?
Yes, that's not that great.
Okay, I take it back. I'm taking it back.
And he was going into the UFC, he was, I think it was 5-1. So within the UFC, he was 16-12.
That's not good.
That's not very good.
That's not good. There's really no way to twist that into good.
Yeah. So, but you know, his personality. And that's another one's like, how did his personality catch on? And he says funny things sometimes. He's a little bit different. I don't know. Yeah. And listen, if you post this clip, please don't post this clip because the Diaz are.
Askren predicted his army would launch a full assault on anyone questioning Diaz's legacy. Regarding White House card discussions, Daniel Cormier addressed the Jon Jones heavyweight speculation with grounded expectations, suggesting that while Jones moving up creates intrigue, his finest work in the fight fans truly crave still exists at light heavyweight, specifically a potential showdown with Alex Pereira at 205 for the White House event. He recognized that Jones has added bulk over recent years, but believes dropping those extra pounds to reach 205 remains achievable, keeping that fantasy fight completely realistic. Meanwhile, Jon Anik outlined his White House card vision, blending practical choices with fan satisfaction, proposing the main event should feature the heavyweight championship, probably Tom Aspinall, defending against Cyril Gane, while recognizing the uncertainty around Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira buzz. For the co-main slot, Anik suggested a bantamweight title fight between Petr Yan and Merab Dvalishvili, expressing optimism that June 14th could showcase 4 or 5 undisputed championships contested on the White House lawn, creating truly historic significance if everything aligns. Additionally, Brendan Schaub presented what he calls a dream card, guaranteed to drive any MMA enthusiast completely insane, stacking it with superstars like Ilia Topuria, Islam Makhachev, Sean Strickland, Alex Pereira, and Jon Jones, plus McGregor versus Diaz, describing it as the type of lineup worth paying premium prices to witness. He didn't limit himself to main events either, envisioning prelims featuring Gable Stevenson and Bo Nickel as must-watch television, with Michael Chandler locked in as well, completing what he characterizes as a card so explosive it could revolutionize fan expectations forever. Contrasting those ambitious plans, Henry Cejudo evaluated the biggest potential matchups for the White House card, without sugarcoating anything, comparing fights like Alex Pereira versus Jon Jones, Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, Jones versus Francis, and McGregor versus Michael Chandler, before backing Jones versus Aspinall as his top choice. For Cejudo, it transcends simple rankings and becomes pure symbolism, America's 250th birthday celebration, a collision of legacies and authentic greatest of all time versus current generation talent. In his perspective, that particular battle isn't just significant, it's the singular fight capable of defining the entire card's legacy. So what's your verdict? Will Nate Diaz return to face Conor, or is McGregor preparing for a different opponent entirely? Share your predictions in the comments and smash that subscribe button for every breaking update, because you absolutely cannot afford to miss any developments in this unfolding story.